What up? I am, and today we're going to be going over Songakshi of the boss rush. She actually has quite a few little nuances that you can take advantage of during the fights. I'm going to tell you guys everything I know, including an extra little bit of a DPS window to help you get her down. But before we get into the fight, I'm going to explain some terminology. I probably should have done this with my other boss rush videos, but they weren't structured. You know what? It's fine. First, basic skills. These would be the skills that she uses regularly throughout the whole fight. Second will be burst abilities. These are skills that are used in conjunction with, you guessed it, speed. Fast. She's going to hit you really hard. And it's usually going to come out of nowhere. She'll just appear. And the other, of course, is mechanics. These will involve a sequential order of things that will always happen during the fights. Basically, just when you get to a certain HP threshold. With that out of the way, let's go fight her. Make sure to have your effect opacity up. You want to be able to see everything. She almost always starts off with a basic attack. Basic attacks and burst attacks can all be forward guard, but do be careful because sometimes they'll randomly one-shot you. Why? I have no clue. Absolutely no clue. You can trade super armor with basic abilities, but they do hurt quite a bit, and I would not try to with burst abilities. She almost always starts off with a basic attack. Just get behind her as much as possible during the fight. She has a very certain flow and timings with a lot of her skills. You'll get used to it with a little bit of experience, no worries. It is a learning process, but I believe in you. Kind of. Smile. One of the first basic skills I'm going to explain is her cloning. But don't chase her all over the place trying to figure out which one is the real one. Simply get perspective and look for one that has a shadow. What I mean by shadow, it has a very dark, well, shadow underneath it. You don't say, right? Now, there is an exception to this, but I will explain that later. When you see her, go to her immediately. There's a little bit of delay in her attack sometimes, so do be careful. She can do both a basic or a burst attack. One she just did here is one of her burst attacks where she appeared and did a massive AoE. It's maybe obvious, but don't stand in it. I mean, you could roll the dice and forward guard it and see if it kills you or not. It's up to you. There's also this rare special animation. I don't know if it's a failed mechanic or what it is, but it does happen from time to time. Basically, she's going to start at the corner of the map and then go into like a huge zoom as if she's like in some sort of triangle pattern. I don't know. Then she will cast a burst ability behind her. Now, don't worry, if you see this, there is a safe area. If you simply go over here to this rock, she'll never touch you. Just stay over here until she's done. I believe she does it 3 times. Sometimes she'll use her basic attack in sequence of 3s, which there is actually an indicator for that of sorts. The skill here, where she throws down something at the ground, it looks like, will either be on its own or it will be the start of that triad of skills. Just as a little tip so you know what to look out for. Next, she will have times where she disappears and goes to the edges of the map at random locations. She'll be laughing at you. She mocking you? What a shit. You can DPS her freely for about a second or two and then make sure to use a stiffen or a stun to CC her. This will give you a little bit of extra time to do more damage. But what a lot of people don't know is this is an opportunity for extra damage. The first time you see her, don't actually CC her and just continue to do DPS. She will disappear and reappear in another location and give you a second chance. This is actually where you want to use your stiff or stun. See that? A little bit of an extra DPS window. Hell yeah. Now don't forget to do it the second time or she'll do a huge AoE that can wipe you. You can actually PvE frame it or V, but I do not recommend. Just do this the first stun. But just in case you need to know. Now remember that exception to the cloning I was telling you about the shadow earlier? I'm going to explain that now. There's a huge tell with Songakshi and that involves whenever she reaches for her face as if to cry. This will mean one of a few different things. But for all of them, it will mean her next offensive skill will be a burst attack. Scenario 1, she's just going to sit there and weep for a second, and then she's going to try to hit you with a pop real quick. Next, she will disappear and do clones, and in that case, you won't see the shadow anymore beneath her. She will randomly pop up and do a burst ability on you, so be on your guard and be careful. You can even see this intermittently during her normal cloning phases. If you ever see her grab her face at any point in time, make sure to be wary, you know it's coming. And lastly, she might just disappear and then randomly do another burst skill around you. You got through the first phase. Nice. Now she's going to say that we've tried to trick her and she's going to spawn an AoE on top of you. So be careful and just try to be behind her. And usually right after you get a one-time clone mechanic. You'll know when it's happening because she will say, "My love, don't tell me you have forgotten me." Go to the center of the boss area. Then you'll see multiple clones around you. Don't hit any of them yet. Now, there are 2 indicators as to which is actually the real one. The first, which I don't usually like using, is one is laughing and the rest are crying. If you can identify her that way, then you'll know which one is real. Personally, I had a hard time with this. There's actually a visual indicator, so no worries. You want to zoom in relatively close and look for the one that has tears of blood. That will be the real one and attack her and defeat her. If your class has huge AoEs though, do be careful. Don't hit any of the other ones or you will fail the mechanic. She will then return to the center and have a little bit of free damage. Hey, we got her down to the next phase. Let's go. She will say, "Where are you, my love? You didn't just leave and abandon me, did you?" I'm just gonna rant for a couple seconds and make sure to be on the edge of the arena while this is happening. You'll notice a large part of the area is gonna go dark Don't stand in it. She's going to do a massive AoE. Make sure to always be on the side that has light. Now keep in mind, periodically, about every minute or so, she will be doing this mechanic for the rest of the fight. Therefore, it would always be better to try to fight her on the outsides of the arena. This will give you a more safe area to go to when she does that mechanic. Though sometimes she is stubborn and she'll still stay in the middle, and in that case be very careful because most of the arena will be covered, if not all of it. PvE iframes, use them. There isn't much of an indicator besides the ground going dark for this mechanic, so you have to see it and react quickly. After every time she does this mechanic, she's going to gradually reappear somewhere within the arena, no worries. She isn't just going to randomly spawn out of nowhere and try to burst ya. Though she can do a burst skill a couple of seconds later, just as you see here. Keep DPSing her down for a little while, just with all the past mechanics you have seen thus far, and you will finally get to the last phase. Usually around 20-ish%. She was going to ask you, why are you hurting her? I mean, for obvious reasons, woman. And then that's the only crime she's committed is her love. I'm sure. She will usually do a burst mechanic right after, so do be careful. Now, this isn't confirmed, but I think she may do a little bit more damage since I did get one shot a lot more often at this stage. You have 10 minutes to defeat her, and if not, she will do an arena-wide wipe mechanic. I have not confirmed, but some people say you can PvE iframe the full duration of this wipe and possibly use your V as well. So if you get to that point, try it. It might work, but you'll only know the exact timing if you have a timer on you and you are being very aware. And that is it for my guide on Songakshi in the land of morning light. Don't forget to like, comment if you have any questions or concerns, and subscribe to the channel. It's free. Why not do it? Hell yeah. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Crimson out.